Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. The next hour is all about the entrepreneur, why they start businesses, how they make their businesses grow, how they overcome failures and achieve success. Your hosts are Bob Gibbons, founder of Riata Commercial Realty, a commercial real estate advisory and tenant advocacy firm, and Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. Bob and Stephen will ask probing questions to find impactful solutions that will help take your business to the next level. And now, here's Bob Gibbons and Stephen Nooner.
Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. Stephen and I are here battling for who gets to go first. We always do this, don't we?
We do.
Hey, Stephen.
Who is Stephen and who are you?
I'm Bob Gibbons, and I'm one of the hosts of this show.
Yeah?
It's a very slick, professional show where we do everything right.
That's right. That's why it's called The Next Level.
Exactly.
We're elevating the airwaves of radio.
And you're Stephen Nooner.
Yes?
You're the other host.
Sometimes. I just follow your lead, Bob.
Okay, good. Then introduce our guest.
All right. So, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. I'm excited. I get to introduce Tommy O'Donnell is here with us. He's the owner of a company called Crazy Ventures. And we're going to learn more about that. But what's really fun for me is how I met Tommy. So a good friend of mine, Sonny Shu, who is involved with leader of BT Furnishings, he has basically evangelized Tommy. He might be in your fan club. I mean, like you're his superhero. And so any person that Sonny thinks is great is someone that I had to meet. And so awesome. I am excited to share your story, and you get to explain more about what you guys do.
Absolutely.
So
Thanks.
welcome. If you want to learn more yourself, go visit crazyventures.com.
Crazy Ventures.
Crazy Ventures.
You got to say that in a wild way, don't you, Tommy?
Yeah, Crazy Ventures.
That's not even
super crazy.
You got to get more weird than that.
I'm not good at that.
Well, thanks for being our guest today. We're excited to have you. We always like to start the show off with what we call wisdom of others, which is, as I like to say, saying something from somebody smarter than Stephen. And you provided
too difficult.
You provided the quote this week, which is "Be free to be yourself." Even though you're not sure who said that.
I'm not sure who said that.
So you said maybe you said that.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
I
do say that.
Yourself.
I do say that.
If you said it, just
I'm going to claim it.
Own it.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
What does that mean? Why does that quote grab you?
So one of the things I will credit Colby, if you're familiar with the
Catherine
Colby
Colby?
and Kathy Colby. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And she describes it as her definition of success is being free to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been a fan of that, and it's really just just being as natural as you are, right? Without having to always kind of morph into the environment that you're in, whether it's suit and tie or casual, or sometimes you feel like you don't belong in that room, intelligence-wise or success or financially, whatever it is, right?
I went to the internet to check out this quote, to see if I could see who actually said it.
Yeah. Did you find something?
And I got, a million versions or, varieties of this. And I actually printed one out because I love this one so much. And this came from People of the Second Chance, which
I like that.
I'm not exactly sure what that is. I think it has
a cult, I think.
Sounds like it.
POTSC.com if you want to check it out yourself. Anyway, so their version of this was, freedom is found when we let go of who we're supposed to be and embrace who we really are.
Exactly.
So
I love that.
That's kind of a summation of what you're saying.
It really is. Yeah.
So how do you though, the problem is that I want everybody to let me be who I want to be, but I'm not so sure I want to let others be who they want to be, because that might not be comfortable for me or might not agree with my preconceived ideas.
It's possible. It's possible. And I think it has a lot to do with who you surround yourself with, right? You might naturally, if everybody were who they really are, and I don't enjoy the company of that person now that they are free to be themselves, maybe you're hanging out with the wrong people.
I mean, I want to get way, way deep into philosophical weeds here, but how many people do you think really know who they are?
It's not very many, I would say. A lot of people, I think, are searching for that. And I know for myself, it's been a continuous journey. And I don't think it ever stops, right? You're continuously, as you experience new things, it triggers something else, and you're probably thinking even deeper.
And we're growing and changing and everything else too, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting. Well, so let's kind of go back. Tell us something about yourself that not everybody knows. You gave us a couple of hints, which I was
Other
actually.
than you don't like Bob when he's himself.
Well, yeah. How could you?
Right.
So tell us something about yourself.
Well, some things that so if I was homeschooled for one. That's not the most.
You're one of those.
I'm one of those. Yeah.
Oh.
Not my entire career, right?
We homeschool both our kids.
Oh, really? And,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And there's some of those.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was before what I think is known as cyber school. This was more like pick your own curriculum.
Yeah.
And our curriculum was do what you want.
And why did your parents?
When you want to do it?
Why did your parents do that? You think?
A combination of traveling a lot with my dad's work and really just breaking out of they weren't and still aren't very traditional in the way that they do things. So just something different, break out of the mold.
So what caused your dad to travel so much? I mean,
the healthcare and life science space, the same industry that I started my first company in.
Okay.
Well, I always call it my first real company. But yeah, different projects back in the mid to late 90s. He worked for Raytheon at the time, who then shifted a lot of their engineers over to the pharmaceutical space.
Okay.
So it was a lot of traveling and plant startup and all that. And we traveled with them. So
you said
That's
you moved like 30 times?
yeah, it was a lot.
Before what age?
I would say 18, before 18.
Oh my goodness.
30 times?
Yeah.
I was an Army kid and I thought I moved a lot, but this is way
Yeah,
beyond.
it was one of those deals like project to project, could be anywhere from 3 months to a year, right?
Wow.
So
And so cool. Like most people probably would take it. I mean, that is a different approach that y'all stayed together.
yeah.
Hindsight, I mean, this is like Monday morning quarterback. Do you wish that he had traveled and just come back, on the weekends, or do you like the way that
No,
it went?
I talked to my brother a lot about this. And I would say, no, I wouldn't change that because of all the different experiences and the people that we met. And it was just different, right? A very different childhood. So
Has it left you with the feeling, though, of not having long-term relationships and that you're wanting to do that? I mean, because I know
I'm pretty good at not maintaining long-lasting relationship. It doesn't bother me a whole lot, but at the same time, it's I'm okay with it.
Tommy, can you sit on the couch here for us? Or
Yes.
How do you feel about that, Tommy? How does that make you
cry?
feel? Love our first
I'm
guest,
okay.
Brian. Yeah.
So when you were moving around like that so much,
Mhm.
I guess you didn't really have the chance to create some, kid business like a lot of people have done because you're always moving.
Yeah. Well, I would say early on, what I did was, the paper routes and the baseball card trading, and that got me into the concept of buying and reselling and providing a service. So I still did some of those traditional things. I'm 38, so it's early 90s that I was doing things like that. So yeah, I still did the traditional stuff, but it also, with the traveling and always finding myself in a new environment, it was paying attention to my environment and observing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it sparked ideas, and how could we do something different here?
Interesting.
So how did that lead to your first real business?
Well, so how it kind of evolved was I got into woodworking. So I would do like little cutouts, wooden cutouts. During Easter, it was the tulips and the little chickens or whatever.
Oh, cool.
and would go to the craft shows and sell these little wooden cutouts to friends and family and just customers that walk through the craft store.
Do you still do that now?
No.
Okay.
No. I still do woodworking though. I enjoy that. Yeah, I like working with my hands. Yeah, and that kind of evolved later into building furniture, right? So, again, like through that homeschooling experience, it was our parents were very flexible in what we were learning
Mm-hmm.
and how we would learn it. So it was like, you guys go and build our living room furniture set, right? We don't know how. Well, learn, grab a book. We'll buy you the tools and go for it.
Wow.
So regardless of our knowledge, we just went for it.
Yeah.
And it got us into creating new things and experience. I would say it's just all about going for it without into the unknown. Having no clue what we're about to get ourselves into. We could have chopped our fingers off or whatever.
I was trying to look. Did you?
I'm still
You have
good.
all of them?
I think I'm
Well, your
good.
brother too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we made it through.
So how did that lead you to the first company that you and your brother started together?
So as we transitioned into how do we make real money out of this, right? Because selling furniture here and there was not cutting it. And like I said, my dad being in the pharmaceutical industry had a ton of connections, and he's like, why don't you guys start something in the pharmaceutical industry? It's a pretty large industry, plenty of money to be made there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a matter of, okay, well, what do we do? And he said, well, you can get into validation. So we had no clue really what that was. But what's the next step? All right, well, get a associate's degree, and that's all you really need to jump into this industry, So we did that, right? 2-year tech school.
What was the degree?
Mechanical drafting.
Mechanical. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
How does mechanical drafting have anything to do with validating? That's kind of wild. And you know what? I ask you that question, then I'm not going to let you answer it because we have to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be right back. You're listening to The Next
That's
Level.
why he's the hook master. Bob Gibbons.
1190 Talk Radio.
Stick around.
Hi, this is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty. If your office lease is going to be expiring in the next year or two, the one thing I would tell you definitely do not want to do is exercise a renewal option. Now, that may sound a little nuts when you negotiate for that renewal option. Why wouldn't you actually want to use it? Well, the reason is because while you want to have one as a reservation for your space so the landlord can't lease the space out from under you, that option may not actually work the way you want it to now. It may have made sense 5 years ago, but it doesn't today. The only thing that changes when you exercise a renewal option are the expiration date and the rent. But you may want to do other things like have another option to renew, have an option to terminate or expand. You may want to be able to expand now or have a new base year for your operating expenses. There's all kinds of things that need to be considered. So we recommend that you renegotiate, not renew. For more information, contact me, Bob Gibbons, at texastenantrep.com. That's texastenantrep.com. We're back with Tommy O'Donnell of Crazy Ventures. And we're actually talking about his first company, Azure, and he was just telling us about how he's getting into that with a drafting degree from, associate's degree. That sounds...
Lincoln Technical Institute.
All right, so how does that lead you into pharmaceutical?
So...
Oh, wait, Tommy, sorry. We're going to have to go to a break. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
You may never know how I got into it. So how that leads into validation and regulatory compliance is piping and instrumentation diagrams and reviewing mechanical drawings, right? So I had this degree where I could actually sit down at a drafting table and draw out a water system. So that was kind of like my very first entry into that industry, was literally making edits to drawings That's from piping diagrams.
And what was the demand? Because I know you built a pretty significant company there. I mean,
Yeah.
So was there a lot of demand for that at the time?
Yeah, there was a
Okay.
huge demand. Yeah.
So maybe I don't understand tell us what validation means then.
So validation is basically the regulatory and compliance side of the healthcare and life science industries. So the FDA will give you approval depending on what phase you're going through, whether it's a clinical trial or you're manufacturing commercial product.
Mm-hmm.
There's different phases of that and requirements that the FDA has. So what our company later ended up doing was creating that documentation for our clients and going through all the testing so that the FDA would approve their whatever it is that they were trying to do. So an example would be a company is producing a flu vaccine and they have to tweak the strain, right, for the next season. You have to validate that process.
So you're not running clinical trials?
No. It's just the process of it, right? The data that's being collected, the validity of it.
Okay.
The equipment that's used, is it calibrated along with the environment? So that's really what all of our work was about, is creating documentation packages and testing everything. So I did enjoy the testing portion of what we did. But the documentation was a killer.
Yeah, I got to believe you're trying to get the government to sign off on a new drug.
Yeah.
The amount of paperwork. I mean, I know clinical trials can go on for years and years and years.
That's right.
So do you come in at the beginning when the drug is actually being developed, or is it after the fact when you're trying to get final
there's
approval?
all phases. We would get in at a variety of phases, whether it's in research phase, we would go into a research hospital, let's say, or at a university, and it's the lab that they're working in that needs to be all their equipment, their procedures, everything has to be documented. So we would help them document their every movement.
Okay, so I don't want to sound as badly as it's probably going to sound, but you're thinking, all right, we got pharmaceuticals going on here. We've got all these really brainiac people that have all these degrees and who knows what, and you got the government overlooking it, and you got a couple of kids with a Lincoln Tech associate's degree.
That's right.
Validating all that stuff.
Are you knocking Lincoln Tech, man?
Yeah, I'm really not. I'm just like, it seems like that's not exactly congruous.
No, there is no requirement for you. There's no certification. There's no requirement for you to actually do this work. It's a matter of, you said this is what you're going to do. I'm going to hold you to it, and then I'm going to prove that you did what you said you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to create testing and documentation around that.
So how does that business go? So you guys get that business going, and then let's talk about kind of the process of building.
So
and
for
scaling
myself, it was a skill that had to be learned because I had no clue going into it. There's no college degree for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I stepped into that business, into that industry, providing a service, working for other companies that provided this service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then learned the industry.
Mm-hmm.
My brother later went the route of working for our later clients, right? So he worked for J&J.
Mm-hmm.
I then stayed on the consulting side, so I jumped from one consulting business to the next, just kind of learning what it looks like to run this kind of business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I said, my brother being on the client end of things,
Right.
right? So then a few years later, we came together and said, okay, so now we can start our own business now that we've learned some skills and we've built our own network. And of course, my dad being still in this industry, he had a lot of connections. So that helped us out as well.
Sure.
Just knowing people. And I would say when we decided to just go out on our own and start the business, it was just the two of us. And people thought we were crazy for sure, but were also rooting for us. Like these two brothers have no clue what they're doing. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. I hope it works for them, but I doubt it.
And where were you guys at the time when you started this? What part of the country?
Philadelphia area.
And
Yeah.
so were your clients all based in that area, or were they
Philly, New Jersey, New York, all in the or all in the Northeast area, mainly.
And you're actually
Yeah.
hired by the pharmaceutical company?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the beginning, though, we did not have the contracts in place or anything like that to get hired directly from those companies. We would subcontract out to our competition, right? They didn't see us as competition.
Mm-hmm.
They just looked at us as additional resources to get their projects done. But we always said, hey, we're gonna end up getting these contracts directly one day. So,
So has
I
that
grew-
company changed since? I mean, you started with the two guys.
yeah.
What-
So it was really fast growth company. In the first 6 months, I think we brought on 20 people, having no
Wow.
clue what that even meant, had no idea how to even run a business or what cash flow meant. So in order to pay those people, it was a struggle. We were cutting deals left and right. Like the typical net terms in our space is like net 90.
Oh.
And we were like begging our clients for like prepayment even. Right? Net 5, net 10.
Vote of confidence in our
exactly
ability to
right.
get your job done.
So we made it through that period of time and that growth. And a year later, I think we hit $1 million in revenue.
Now, why did it grow so fast? Sorry to interrupt, but I mean,
Our excitement and energy, it had
Really?
everything to do with that. It's a very stale, relatively boring, slow-moving industry.
so you
and
just look like
space.
the new.
Yeah,
exciting
it was new
option.
and exciting. Exactly. Yep.
Exciting energy, and then a common pattern that I heard you say, I think worth mentioning, that I've seen between other guests that have had a lot of success is your brother had been on the client side too. So,
Right.
I mean, you knew what they valued too. That's got to be helpful.
Yeah, we knew exactly what our clients were looking
What the
for
pain
and what they
points
would
were.
pay for and what their pain points were. And we knew how to deliver it, right? But we
Mhm.
also knew how to have fun and bring energy to anything that we would do.
Right.
So that's on both sides. The clients were willing to take a chance on us because we were so cheap. That was one reason. And they were genuinely interested in seeing us succeed. And then we were able to get employees pretty quickly because of the same excitement and energy.
So $1 million in a year,
Yep.
and then I mean, how far did y'all take it?
So in 2 it was 2 years, and 3 it was 3, and that's when we were. So $3 million. At the time it was called Validation Inc., and we then it was essentially like running a charity because we had no clue how to manage the money, and we didn't have enough margins, right? So we were at probably net 1%, something like that.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
So we decided to then find another consulting company in our space that was willing to merge with us,
Okay.
right? Who had kind of the opposite profile as we do
Mm-hmm.
at that time. Not very fast growing, but we're really good with managing the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
So we found a company and merged with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was 3 years into it. About 3 years into it, we merged with them.
Okay.
So now they were around the same size, so about $6 million in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And then organically started to mesh those two cultures together. We brought the energy, they brought probably more of the validity and the financial health
Uh-huh.
to the company.
You brought the gas, they brought the brakes.
Exactly. So it was a good combination,
Yeah.
and we still had that energy and the excitement, and we started sort of evolving that into if you're in this space running a company, maybe a small consulting company, come join us. We can do more together. And if you have an interest in starting a company, and you always said, I've always wanted to do this, also come join us. We'll help you start that up.
So why did you guys change the name?
Just a different brand. We did a whole press release and all that stuff. We were always big into just making people think a little bit, right? So we did a press release saying, Validation Inc. merges with SimQuest Vantage, forming Azor Group. And Azor in Hebrew actually means helping hands. So we put some thought behind, like, what is this thing that we're creating? What are we going to do together? So then from there, the four of us grew it, did a few startups within our own organization, merged with one other company in California, and then a few acquisitions, and today it's around 30 million in revenue.
Well, great. Well, we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back after the break. Stick around.
Hi, my name is Fern, and I've been an empowered team member at Alkali for over 5 years. I first learned about Alkali through an online job board and was intrigued to learn that Alkali was a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. But what captivated me was Alkali's mission statement, which is closely aligned with my own beliefs. So what's kept me at Alkali for over 5 years? First, Alkali's 5 core values match my own. Second, I've been empowered to use my unique abilities to impact our community, our clients, and Alkali. If you'd like to learn more about becoming an empowered Alkali team member, visit our website, alkaliservices.com. That's ALKALI services.com.
We're back with Tommy O'Donnell, Crazy Ventures, crazyventures.com.
So before the break, you were telling us how the company just scaled up to about 30 million, and you changed your name and all that, but a lot of other things was changing.
Well, through that growth process, we would continue to hit ceilings like any business would. And after that second merger, we had now 3 different cultures in the company with 7 partners at this time. So we needed that shared vision. We needed to be on the same page in order to take it to the next level. And we needed to tweak our business model as well. So we went back and ended up breaking the company up into a few different entities. And then us as a leadership team came together and decided that we needed to implement a single operating system. So for us, we ended up coming just research and podcasts and books and whatever, came across Traction by Gino Wickman. And so we ended up implementing, the first attempt was to see if we can do it ourselves, and that didn't go very well because too many partners and opinions and all that. So we ended up hiring an EOS implementer, Jonathan, who then started to help us gain clarity overall with creating that vision. So we went through the whole process, and it was awesome. It really helped us organize and then ultimately take it to the next level and scale it. So one of especially for Mark and myself, Mark, my brother, it was how do we set this company up to ultimately exit and move on to the next thing, right? And that for us was building that accountability chart, the leadership team that didn't include us, right?
So that's what your goals were, but what about the other 5 partners? Did they have a similar goal?
No, they did not. They remain in the company.
So you have 5 partners that still remain in the company,
Yep.
and you and your brother have exited from the day-to-day operations,
Exactly.
but you're still on the board.
Yeah, we have not sold it or anything. We still hold all the, we still hold the equity, but we have awesome partners and a team that is still in it, right? And you need that operating partner. Sorry. You need those people in the business, of course, right? Somebody needs to have that passion to continue running the business. And we have that, right? 5 other partners. that are in the business to run.
So what was the advantage when you guys exited the day-to-day operations of continuing to own it versus just selling out to your other partners or to other people or whatever? What was the key decision in which of those two paths you were going to take?
I would say the short answer is passive income.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't have to spend time. I don't have to spend any time in that company anymore, and I still, get the distributions. So
your return on investment from that must be better than what it would have been if you just taken cash and
it's a
it's
a professional services company, right? So on the market, you might not get a huge return on that. But as far as a cash flowing company, it's great, right? So you can, as long as it continues to operate and, financially be a success, then it works out great for us.
What I'm a little bit more interested in is the how did you know that you wanted out? Why did you want that? I mean, passive income, but what was your why? You just
For me, I no longer had that passion for the service that we were providing. Regulatory and compliance in a highly regulated environment is not my thing.
It's not?
No.
It's so sexy. I was thinking about
it sounds awesome, I know, but
sounded like an upgrade from insurance.
Right.
Just kidding.
Definitely not my thing. But definitely what was and continues to be my thing is the people that we helped along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they were our clients or the employees that later became owners in like a spin-off entity that we created or whatever. I enjoyed helping people accomplish those things. And for myself, I felt like I could do more as I would exit the day-to-day of that business, and just in general, like I mentioned the EOS process and implementing that. I really got into that whole process that we took our own companies through, and like I said, hired an implementer for. And then I thought, well, how can I could probably help other companies if I exit this day to day, because I already had a team operating. I wasn't the right person to take it to the next level anyway. So I removed myself from the company, leaving that room for other people to grow. But then also for myself, having that passion to continue to help others accomplish something bigger for themselves, right? And I did that. I later then once I exited, I became an EOS implementer myself. And that's one of the tools that I use to help others, within Crazy Ventures now.
For them to be free to be who they are.
Yeah. Ultimately, that is what it comes down
to
to,
your
right?
quote at the beginning.
Super cool, right?
Right.
And for the audience, EOS, if you haven't heard of it, is Entrepreneurial Operating System. Gino Wickman, the book Traction is the byproduct of implementing the EOS system.
Yep. Yeah. It's great tools.
So you moved from Pennsylvania to Texas.
Yeah. So once I exited the day-to-day of the business, I was no longer in it. I was completely free to do whatever, go wherever.
So why Dallas?
So it's a funny story. We just kind of took the Forbes best places to live list and went down that list. And at first we were looking at Southern California, but then
taxes.
We do have an office there, so I was thinking, all right, can be close to other people that I know. But we ultimately ended up picking Dallas just because of my wife's from El Salvador originally, so the Hispanic culture, the feeling of growth here, the weather. It's not the Northeast. The people, community. Like we just connected with the people mainly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Crazy Ventures is sort of your new gig, your new company.
Yeah.
So tell us about Crazy Ventures. What's the whole thing around it?
So I would say it's a little bit about taking people through my journey, right? Where it was, you're doing something that is okay, right? You're not energized every day, and you can't wait for Monday. Weekends are one of those things like, oh man, thank goodness it's Friday kind of a mentality. And I feel like as you live in that world, you're just not as energized, and you're not as impactful to the people around you if you're not completely free to be yourself and really discover who it is that you are. And so that's ultimately Crazy Ventures for me, is that process of taking people through discovering their passion and their purpose. And not only that, is how do you monetize that, right? That's the biggest question I think that most people have, because there's a lot of tools out there to help you describe what you are good at, but then it's how do you monetize it? And for me, I feel like if you can figure out then how to monetize that passion and your purpose, you can live in it every day. Like, because that's how you make money now, right? Because a lot of times you might call it a hobby or something like that, and those exist, right? And that's perfectly fine. But if you can ultimately figure out how to make money doing what you love to do, I feel like for me that's pure freedom, because I'm not worried about.
So as the Crazy Ventures founder, that's your goal in life, is to help me and Stephen and lots of other people figure out what their passion is and how to turn that into a profit.
Exactly.
A money-making business.
Yep.
So how do you do that?
All the testing that I've done throughout the years, and all the tools that I've come across, like I mentioned earlier, Kolbe. The Kolbe A index is great for how do you take action? Where do you put your energy? Along with Strength Finders, right? Strength Finders is great. What do you do best? My number one strength is includer, and I'm includer
on the top 5 as well.
Is it really?
So I was reading your some pre material last night.
I don't feel very included for being part of a.
Shut up! I read it to my wife because she's always complaining about me being an includer.
Yeah,
and so I was like, "Tommy's an includer. I'm so excited."
And the bromance begins.
Bro hug.
That's right. Yeah, and my Kolbe profile is 4467, which the natural advantage, or the word that they put on that, is adventurer. So being a high implementer, I love to be in that space. I like to feel it, right? See it and feel it for myself. So that's why Crazy Ventures has this adventurous experience component to it, and not just taking you through the coaching tools in theory, but I want to get into the weeds and we're going to take action and build something. Right.
Interesting. So you're taking trips.
Absolutely.
To cool places.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that more after the break. So you're listening to The Next Level on Talk Radio 1190.
Come back so you're included.
Hi, I'm Craig Jones with Groggy Dog. No, we're not a bar and grill or a craft beer company, but after my interview with Stephen and Bob, I wished we were.
We're back with Tommy O'Donnell, Crazy Ventures, crazyventures.com.
So Tommy, when we were talking about what you're doing now and how you're helping people find their passion and monetize that sounds really good, but help me, get some teeth into that. So how does somebody find the passion of what they what's really going to make them happy in their lives?
Every day. Well, like I was saying earlier too, it's a process, right? And it's an ongoing one too. You'll refine it as you go through life. But I use the Kolbe and Strength Finders, along with then conversation about further defining what that is for yourself. Your passion could very easily be that hobby, right? I'm passionate about football, right? I'm not in the NFL, and unfortunately, I don't make money playing football. So it's just an example of, finding that passion along with the purpose, how can you make a difference in the world? What is the market for that? Along with the business model behind it. So as I have conversations with people, I'm, at that point in time, I'm their coach, right? Taking them through this process, and then just continuously refining it and putting clearer definition on what specifically they want to do. Whether it's, I want to work with kids, I get joy out of working with kids. Okay, great. So what can you do while working with kids? Is this a online course that you're creating for kids, or are you in person with them? You could be a school teacher and work with kids, right? There's so many different things you could be doing.
So who's your ideal client?
My ideal client, I would say, would be either the entrepreneur who has exited their company, like myself, who is looking for that next thing. Typically when you first start your first company, it was, oh yeah, I could do this better, right? It was a skill that you were working on yourself, or you were an employee and you start your business. And, you've gained business knowledge through that experience, but now you have the freedom to do something that you really get a lot of joy out of doing. So those would be people that I work with. And on the other end of the scale, non-entrepreneurs are people who have just spent a career in the corporate world as employees, and they're like, this can't be it, right? There's more to life than this. I feel like I can help more people by doing something different. So I work with those people as well.
So if I take an early package from some big company and I'm 50 years old and I say, I'm going to go buy a franchise because I always wanted to start a store.
Absolutely.
Do I need you? Do you tell me I'm insane? What do you do to derail that or to clarify that?
I
maybe
say
maybe it's a passion, right?
It could be,
it's
right?
Helping them get clear on it before they do it.
It could be. And I would say, don't just jump into that next business opportunity right away. It's first discovering who it is that you are at your core, and what do you do better than anyone else on the planet? What is your unique talents?
So do you act as a counselor? Because a lot of times I
Yeah.
see that this is a husband-wife joint thing, that they're trying to decide what to do together.
Tell us about that, Bob. Why don't you get on the couch and let's talk about that.
You and Corey are the ones that have the transitions more happening than me.
Hey, I'm loving it.
So, I mean, do you find that that's really the case, that you're having to
Yeah, absolutely. It's not always a joint decision. Everybody's unique in their own way. And, sure, if it's like for Crazy Ventures, it's actually my wife and I that work together on this. So we have that similar passion. Hers on the adventure and experience side of things, mine on and I do enjoy that as well. But then it's also, for me, my passion in helping others build that business from their passion and what they enjoy doing. So together we put the company together using those two pieces.
Interesting. So you have Crazy Ventures then. Help me understand how this works out. You have people that come to you and they want to figure out what is their passion in life and how to monetize that. You have Crazy Adventures where they're actually trips
they're
throughout the world.
Yeah.
And then you have these other tools, which is EOS, Strength Finders, Colby, etc. Does somebody who comes to you as a client do all of those things, or is it a menu?
Pick and choose. So I would say a lot of people love to start with the adventure and the trip because it's a really good way to build that trust and relationship with somebody. And you have those deeper conversations. And that really helps through the coaching process then as well, because now I've spent a couple days in, Peru or Costa Rica or Ireland or wherever, right? I've spent a few days with you and we're having these ongoing conversations. And now I'm, with that better connection and that deeper relationship and trust, I can then better help that person through that process.
How many people do you take up with you on these adventures?
No more than 10. I would say on average it's on the smaller side, so that I can actually spend time with each person and have the, and I want the group itself, right, to have these conversations with each other. I don't want to just be the only one, guiding everybody in a very process-driven way.
Right.
It's just, relaxed and let's hang out and talk and chat with each other. Yeah.
So you have one coming up soon, I understand.
Yes. So, well, my wife just got back from Peru, and that was a great trip. We do have one coming up in September in Ireland. Let's see. And then another one in Costa Rica in September. But then in between, I have a really long one, which is a cross-country bike ride. So I'm going to be riding my bike from Oregon to South Dakota.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
So, I don't know.
It's crazy.
'Cause it's crazy. What crazier way to do that? No,
Just to prove the name.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive.
It's actually for a school in Chicago. It's called Ride for the Phoenix. So myself and another EOS implementer, Renee, we decided that we're gonna check off a bucket list item for Renee, and we're going to raise money for a school in Chicago.
Very cool. So you're looking for sponsors to pay
Yep.
a certain amount of money per mile.
Sponsors, drivers,
Drivers.
Yeah, volunteers of any sort, right?
Wow.
You look like you're thinking about driving.
No.
Or riding, actually.
Riding sounded more fun than
Yeah.
driving.
Bob is a professional. He has toe clips on his pedals now.
Oh, well, then
Not toe
you
clips, but foot clips.
yeah.
I'm not
that's
sure
close
what you
enough.
call
You
them.
could ride.
Clips.
You could ride.
Okay, so Crazy Ventures right now is you and your wife,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to quickly tell this quick story. Is that you and I got introduced by a mutual friend, Jason Smith.
That's right.
Shout out to him.
Yep.
And you were thinking about buying a building in Coppell.
That's right.
And so we went and looked at the building. We kind of talked about it. We negotiated with the owner. And ultimately, you said, no, I'm not going to buy the building in Coppell. I'm going to buy a ranch in Montana.
That's right.
How are those even in the same conversation as alternatives?
No, they're really not lined up with each other. No, it's one of those things. Like I connect with people, and again, another EOS implementer that I was sitting at the same table with said, I have a ranch in Wyoming, actually.
Okay.
Not everybody mistakes Wyoming for Montana, but
I mean, once
that's
you're
okay.
up there, how can you tell the
It's
difference?
somewhere over there, right? But anyway, he said I always wanted to convert a piece of my ranch to kind of this entrepreneurial getaway kind of a place. It's like, wow, that sounds cool. Me too. So, I ended up just going there, visiting with my brother and my dad, and ended up buying a ranch up there.
So is this ranch intended, though, for bringing your clients
Yeah.
to and having retreats?
Exactly. It'll be one of the destinations for Crazy Ventures, because we'll have some that are non-owned destinations and some that are places that we own that we can convert into a Crazy Venture retreat.
Exciting. Yeah, whenever you told me that, I was just kind of like, what?
Wow, this is like 6 degrees here. So I didn't realize, because we got introduced by Sonny. I think that's when we started talking about you being potentially a guest. I didn't know about all the crazy history there,
Yeah,
Bob.
exactly. Well, I can't tell you everything.
Clearly.
So, Tommy, what's next? I mean, you're 38, so you're a
Yeah.
very young man. So what's happening in the future for you?
So I feel like I'm in that company now that is what is me, right? And that I really love building. So ultimately what I want to do is continue to build this out as a member, a membership type of a program, and just build and grow that community of people who have gone through the process and continue to go through the process of monetizing their passion and purpose, right? So more people in the group, the better. More synergies, the networking opportunities, the fun. Just keep building.
So if somebody wants to learn more, they can go to crazyventures.com.
That's right.
And it is ventures plural, right?
That's correct.
On the website.
because we don't want to just do one
No,
venture.
that'd be boring.
No.
Wouldn't be crazy enough.
Right. We need multiple ventures.
So you've grown and sold a company, and you're starting a new one. So give us the sort of 2 or 3 quick things that you would say to somebody who's thinking about starting a new company that they ought to look at.
Yeah.
Consider.
So starting a new company is, like I said, just don't jump into starting a company because it's hot right now or because I feel like I can make a lot of money doing this. It's really going back to what are you truly passionate about, and are you clear on the business model of it, right?
Gotcha.
And if you're not, have that brainstorming buddy, right? Take time to go through that process before you just jump into it.
Well, Tommy, thanks so much for being our guest today. We've really
Thank you.
enjoyed it. CrazyVentures.com. If you want to know more about the show, go to nextlevelshow.com. And we'd ask you to subscribe to our podcast, please. Just wherever you get your podcast, just type in The Next Level Show, and you'll find us.
Spread the word. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.